Hello, Jim here again. Contrary fuchsia plant of the week time. I've got a really unusual plant this week. Not one that's unfortunately not common, but it should be more common. It's called Tricyrtis hirta, and it's ideal for gardens in Ireland. Thanks for tuning in. The unusual look of the plant gives it its name. It's called Tricyrtis because of three swollen sacs of nectar that you'll find by the tepals in the plant. And tepals are just another part of the plant. If you want to go into the really technical part of plants, you'll find tepals or modified sepals. It gets a bit complicated. But for you and me, the tri part, it just has to do with the three sacs of nectar, and the hirta part refers to hair. It's Greek word for hair, and it is, when you look into the inside of the flower, it looks hairy. So Tricyrtis hirta. The common name for Tricyrtis hirta is the Japanese lily, the common toad lily, the Japanese toad lily, the hairy toad lily, and it really sums up the problem with using common names of plants. It is lily part is right because it was a member of the Liliaceae family, but that name has now been changed to the Melanthiaceae family, and that's done by botanists. Particularly botanists in the Royal Horticultural Society. And I've mentioned this before, that sometimes a name will change of a plant, and the botanists have their reasons for this. It boils down to science and the nitty-gritties, if you like, of what a plant is. But the bottom line, though, is that so many common names, you could have so many different plants. Tricyrtis hirta is one plant, and that's the one we're talking about today. The plant itself is native to Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan, those kind of areas, and it grows in the area where I'm walking just now, which is shaded and damp along river banks, along kind of mountain sides where there's water flowing down. So that's where it is, and that's where it's native to. That's where the plant is originally from. It's not a very big plant. 60 to 90 centimeters height and spread. So again, it'll be accommodated in most gardens, but it's well worth it because of the really exotic look of the flowers. Another name that's used for it sometimes is the orchid lily, and I think that's the one that's probably most accurate. When you look at it, you think, oh, that's an orchid, but it isn't. It's actually Tricyrtis. Tricyrtis loves the kind of conditions that I'm walking under here, which is partial shade to actually full shade. It will grow happily, and it's unusual to see a plant flowering and thriving in fairly dense, in full shade particularly. Soil needs to be damp the whole time. It doesn't tolerate being dry. Remember what I said earlier on, its growing conditions along riverbanks, even on mountainsides, but near the river. So it needs a constant supply of water. The soil type as well is slightly different to the soil type certainly that we have here in Limerick, which is quite limey. You need a much more acidic soil, which is probably around here, which is probably why Tricyrtis is better grown in a pot or a raised bed. If you have a raised bed, you can keep control of the acidity of the soil. So they are the ideal growing conditions for Tricyrtis. I mentioned when I was talking about plants a couple of weeks ago, I forget exactly which one now, but I mentioned rhizomes. Well, Tricyrtis grows from a rhizome as well, which is a modified bulb. And I'll put a little information thingy up here and there, somewhere around there, and you'll be able to see it and read it. And the rhizome can be, the plant can be dug up in the autumn, and you can divide the rhizome, cut it, and you look for the nodes that are on the rhizome, and you get a plant from each one of those nodes, as long as it's a healthy node when you cut it. You can grow from seed, but to be honest, seed takes years upon years upon years. So in your own garden, once it's established, give it a couple of years to establish, and then you get loads of plants from rhizomes. The other way to propagate it is just let it in the ground, and as it's spreading, dig the rhizomes up yourself and replant them, let them establish in a pot, and then put them in the ground. Remember, the key to it is slightly acidic soil. That gives it the best growing conditions. Gardeners in this country love it because it looks really exotic, and that's one of its best attractions. It's long, the flowers last long. It attracts pollinators late in the season because of those nectar sacs. So it does have a lot of advantages. Fully hardy as well, even in our harshest winter. So you'll find it easy. You'll find it easy to grow. Here's our contrary verdict card on Tricyrtis. Definitely something you should have in your garden. I've seen it in a few garden centres around the place locally. Definitely something that you should keep an eye out for and plant in your garden, and have many happy years with it. So that's it from me. Until next time on The Contrary Fuchsia, take care of yourselves.